Hello friends, welcome to Stories and Stitches. I'm Jada and I'm going to give myself a very ambitious beading project today. I'm going to try and bead myself a sea turtle. I actually have a little sea turtle pendant. It's a pretty little pendant, like a brooch that I've worn in the past that I really like, but it's very small, so I want to try and make one that's a little bit bigger, a little more involved, I guess. It's not a huge brooch. I don't think I want it to be as big as some of the previous pieces I've made here, but I do want it to be kind of large. I have a template of sorts that I'm going to follow for the design of it, which I'll show you in a second. And I have an awful lot of beads here, so grab yourself a nice hot cup of tea or coffee or whatever you're in the mood for, and make yourself comfortable. I hope I provide some nice company for you, a little bit of crafting company for the next foreseeable hour or so. We'll see where this goes, and let's get to the table and see what I've got on the table for us today. All right, so this is the little template that I'm going to use. I want to make a sea turtle in roughly these colors, I think, because I kind of like the lighter. I might try for a slightly lighter green, but I do like the yellow. I made this a few days ago, as a matter of fact, and I want to make it sort of like this because I like the sort of segmented top to the shell. I like that design, and it also gives me the opportunity to play with a bunch of colors, which I think will be kind of fun. It is not going to be this big, but this is sort of the idea that I'm going to use. So to that end, I've got some green felt. I'm going to base it on, I think I'm going to base it on green felt. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should base it on white. Lucky for me, I have a humongous bag here. Maybe I'll try the white instead. I was going to go with all greens, but you know what? Maybe white would be better. So let me use the white. And I've got my pen to draw it on. I've got my scissors, thread, needle, beads, all of the things. So I'm just going to start to draw. But first, a sip of tea and a hello to everybody hanging out. Welcome, Ms. Rabbit. Welcome, Shell. Welcome, Mr. InStitches. Okay, here we go. So, right off the bat, I'm going to clear my workspace a smidge, just so I've got a little bit of room to work in. And I have as many little colors sort of around that I can possibly have, because I want to make sure that I've got all the options on the table. All right, so something like this, but smaller. So I'm going to start with the shell sizing. I don't want it to be too big. I think that might be where I put my flippers. So again, I'm just going to kind of dot in the general size. So that's about the size of the shell, which means I need a little tail and a head. And then flippers. And flippers down here. Little like lemon slice shapes. Okay, I think we got something going on here, so I'm just going to sort of gently sketch in, fill in my dots. And I'm going to kind of just bead it as I go. I'm not going to draw the beading design on. I just want that to kind of develop as I go. Let's not make that too skinny. Okay, so that's my little template. I'm going to, I guess I better get some slightly sturdier scissors. Cut around this roughly, so I'm not sort of dealing with a great big piece of felt. There we go. Okay, there we go. So again, this is kind of the template. So I've got a little tail. The most of the interest is going to be in the shell. The eyes, I might try to put like big sort of like actual beads on the side to make it look like he's got a couple eyes, so the eyes sort of show. And then the rest is just going to be very simple. So I want to do just sort of simple coloring with the flippers, the tail, the head, all the same color, kind of like this guy. And the majority of the interest is going to be the shell. So I think I want like a central interesting thing, like if I have a nice big fancy bead, and then I'm going to try and do this somewhat sort of segmented, 6-segmented thing around it. And then I'll just fill in the sides. And that's kind of what I'm going to try and go for. So I've got lots and lots of thread. I've also got white thread somewhere. I'm just trying to, maybe I will use the white thread. Let me grab my white thread. Changed my mind on the felt. This is why you kind of keep everything close at hand. All right. So before I even worry about the head and the fins and the tail color, I want to dive right into the fancy shell work. So what I'm looking for is something for the middle, kind of like the center of a flower. And I might make it out of smaller beads. I might just dig through I've got this interesting bead kit here of all of my previous beads. That is too big. That is very interesting, but might be too heavy. That's way too big. Wow, that's almost the size of his. If that had another hole in the bottom, I would use that because that is so pretty, but that would completely change the color sequence that I had in mind. Might have to keep this out for a future thing. That's an interesting little bead. That looks like a little pile of grapes, but it's only got one hole up at the top. I need something that I can pin down at least on both sides. So it might just be, that's kind of neat. It's fancy, but it's not about these. Looks like it's nice and red. Nah. I guess I'm going to make it. What about that? It's only got a hole in the center, so I'd end up having to kind of do threads over the side. All right, I'm just going to make it out of smaller beads. So I've got lots of different yellows. I've got a strong sparkly yellow. I've got gold. I've got this, that's a peachy one. I've got a solid yellow. And the center of it doesn't have to be the same color as the head and the fins. Keep your friends close and your craft supplies closer. I like that, Ms. Rabbit. Okay, let's... If I go with purple, then I'll use these. I'll use these because they're kind of different. So let's get a beading needle going. Oh, that reminds me. I found my old pile of beading needles. This is an old, this is really old. This is an old beading needle or old set of needles. It's an old needle case, and it is from at least 100 years ago. It came to me from a box. They were made in England. I don't know when the last time Abel Morales made needles, but they're really, really small and tiny. Stainless steel. I just love this because it's such a pretty little case. And I don't know if you can sort of see, I don't want there to be too much reflection, but it's a very simple little case. The paper, it opens up, and then there's just this little kind of flap that the little needles are sitting in. But my favorite part about it is the writing on the inside of the case, and it says, "Ladies, purchasing this needle are respectfully requested to notice that every needle is guaranteed by the well-known maker, Abel Morale, who has over a century's reputation. I just love that. I suppose I should be reading that in a British accent, but there you go. So that's those are some of my tiniest needles. I'm not going to use those today because I do have a pretty good one that I've been using and I want to just sort of stick to that. But I found it, and I think I mentioned it on a previous stream. I wanted to show it to you, so there it is. So I'm going to use this little needle, and I'm going to use white thread. So this one can be re-threaded. That package is at least from the 1920s, possibly even older than that. And the reason I know that is because it came from a box of things that had been put away in an attic, which had then been boarded up. And the attic was sort of the box of things, which was an unfinished quilt and beads and a whole bunch of crafting supplies. They'd been boxed up and included the death obituary of the woman that everything belonged to. That and had been tucked in with everything, and there were some newspapers from the day that were sort of wrapped everything up. It had all been packed into a box with a whole bunch of other things, put in an attic, and then walled off when the house had been renovated sometime later. And all of that, the papers and everything, were from the early 20s, the early 1920s. And a friend of mine, back when we were teenagers, and was helping his dad renovate the house, and they were running wires, and they realized that there was a missing chunk of ceiling, so they kind of knocked around, found this, what they thought was a solid wall. My friend actually ended up falling through it, and they wound up in this room surrounded by all these treasures that hadn't seen the light of day for decades. And he gave me the entire box full of the quilt stuff and the beads and the needles and everything, and it was quite the delight going through that box of goodies. I finished the quilt, all kinds of stories from that. All right, I'm going to start right in the center. And much like I did with my little flowers, I'm going to put in a center bead, and then I'm going to do, oops, once again, too excited, come back through the top, Jada. Here we go. I'm going to do like a little sort of flower center, and then I will just start working off of that. Hi, Becky. Welcome to the chat. Yes, I've got sea turtles on the brain, obviously. So I'm going to try and bead one. I've got all these lovely colors. This might end up looking like kind of an Easter colored turtle. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There we go. All right, so that's my center. So that's the center. Now I'm going to try and do like 6 segmented edges, much like a flower. And I'm going to do them in purple. Do I have a stronger purple? Ooh, I do. I do have a stronger purple. In my new kit that I got at Michael's, because even though I said I was just going to use what I had, I thought, ooh, I haven't looked at beads in so long. I'll just go see what Michael's has. Oh, look at this pretty little kit. So I bought it. What can I say? I think these might be the beads I want to use. And they also come in their own little resealable bag. I'm just going to put this to the side for a moment. And this has got like a little pocket in it, so I'm going to put some of these in that pocket. You went for Easter colors too, eh, Becky? I see. It's spring, right? Spring is kind of coming. Apparently we get spring. So yes, I can't help myself. I start thinking kind of pastels, and I just realized like I really like. I love the colors that this little guy wound up being, but I think it would be so much more fun to make it pastel-y, like a little pastel turtle, because the turtle shape is kind of obvious. So I think when something is like something is a clear and obvious shape, it's fun to change the colors, because you go, oh, like that's a turtle, but turtles don't show up in pastel colors. Well, this one does. So I'm going to try and make 1, 2, 3. I'm going to try and make like a segmented, kind of like I did. So that. I also want to be able to do a little bit of color around the edge. Is that too big? Might be. Let's unsew that. I think I like the idea of there being, I don't know if I'm going to get this image. I guess I could if I did enough of a space in between. And then I like the idea of there being 2 rings of color around the outside. I don't know, we'll see how this goes. If I go 1, 2, 3, maybe that needs to be 4. Sure. Let's go with that. Okay, so segment number 1. Sure. Just going to do this little back stitch thing as often as I can, because I feel like it. And then I'm going to come out. So that would be 1 here, and I've got to get 2 on either side of it because I'm going for 6. So do I just go, maybe I'll go up here. When in doubt, do the opposite. I know there's got to be 2 that sit opposite each other, so let me try that. This is already pretty big. Like, it's already bigger than I was sort of picturing it in my head, but I don't mind so much. It'll either be like a really big brooch, which is fine. I like statement brooches, or it'll be like something I stitch onto something else. We don't know yet. Doesn't matter. I just want to make the beaded sea turtle. Because it's got all this extra sort of design in it, I figured this would be kind of ambitious. I'm feeling a little bit, I'm feeling like I wasn't super in love with my clover from the last stream, and I've been puzzling over why not, and I think I figured it out. I was picturing it before I sat down to sort of stitch it with everybody. I had been picturing it sparkly, like the flowers I had done previously. And because it wasn't sparkly, because I didn't have the sparkly green beads, I was sort of fighting the beads the whole time. I was fighting the image in my head. Well, that was my problem. I should have just leaned into the fact that I had opaque beads and gone for it. So I was fighting the process, I realized. Foolish, foolish Jada. So today I'm like, you know what? I want something sparkly, so I should just use what I've got that's sparkly. Okay, so that I can fiddle with a little bit. All right, so there's 1, 2. Now I want to try and do, wow, this is already off. Doesn't matter, this is just, again, gotta tell myself to chill out. So now I want to try and mimic this twice more in here and on the other side. And I realize I'm already off center a little bit, but I don't think that matters. I'll just collectively move the flippers in when I get to that point. So I want to do a line right here and then 2 more there. Let's see how it goes. I wonder. Oh, that's not a bad idea. You only need 1 here. These purple beads are so pretty. Okay, so let me come up here. Okay. I did. One, two, three, four. I need to come out here. Shell's picturing this on a crochet bag that's sand, sea, sky themed. Oh, well, we've got one. I did that beach bag. This might look cute on that. I like the idea, Shell. I also wouldn't mind sewing myself a new bag. Um, just because I haven't done that in a while. Okay, so far so good. That's 4 of 6 petals. I'm going to knot off on the back here. And then we'll do a little close up so I can show you what it looks like. Progress. There we go. Okay, so far that's where I'm at. So maybe I should hold it right side up. Right side up. Where's the head? There's the head. I'm a little off side, but it's okay because I'll just bring these flippers and that side in a little bit. I'm gonna base once I get this sort of this. Obviously, that's the template. So once, or I should show you sort of this way. Once I get the little purple flower kind of done, I'll base all of the beading in the head and the flippers and the tail and everything off of the central flower. So I'm basically taking a flower and turning it into a turtle again. I really like these purple beads. Ah, purple, 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 purple. I love purple, purple. Okay, so I'm gonna come right up the middle here, kind of like I did with that one. So I'm gonna just make sure that's not going anywhere. One, two, three. Yes, we all know how Ms. Rabbit feels about purple. And rightly so. Look at that color, it's magic. I'm gonna try and get that kind of in the middle. Coupon next time. Yes, yes, Shell, I know. I never think to find a coupon. Where do you find coupons? Is it sort of like, do you get them online or something? I have to admit, I don't pay enough attention to this stuff. wonder if I should try and go through here. Yeah. And then I think it's probably, I'm sort of giving away my age when I say I used to go through the flyers, the paper flyers. I don't think I've seen a paper flyer in a long time. Not that I'm complaining. I think I got to a point where I was starting to get annoyed with all the flyers because, you know, when you think it's like, I don't need to go to Canadian Tire every week, you know, please stop sending me flyers. But so the flyers from the places you do want to look at also stop coming, which is sort of too bad. Okay, so that's my flower. Yeah, sure. And I'll just make sure that I'm all... Okay, so now I'm going to base the rest of, before I fill that in, that is, that's pretty even. Let's take a look here. I'm going to go with a pink. I've got so many pretty pinks. The little pink? Yeah, how about we do a tiny little row of the little pinks to kind of function like a... Let's get this off. Move these guys out of the road. Okay. So I'm right here. So let's start about there. And I'm going to switch these. So I'm going to try and just grow on this design, expanding out from sort of the base flower before I fill in the center. Darn it all. Oh well. Find it later. Jessica Rabbit says, You can look online for Michael's sales. They also have an app with coupons. Usually they just scan a sheet with discount scan barcode things and just do the work for me. You know what? I have seen that in the past, come to think of it. But they don't do that at the Michael's that I typically go to. Then again, I'm also guilty of using the self-checkout because I kind of like that. So maybe if I had somebody else check me out, they would, but wouldn't they just be nice and stick the current coupon to the side of the checkout? I don't know. Maybe I'm asking too much. I should probably do my own coupon hunting. Is that one too many there? No, it's not. I'm just going to shove that out of the way. So I think the only thing I'm not going to have is like the long kind of pink tendrils that go in between the flowers, but that's okay. I don't want this to be necessarily exact. I'm just kind of using it as a little template. So I think what I might do is echo the pink inside the purple flowers, but I'm not sure. I'm going to get all this pink kind of wrapped around the outside first, and then I'll figure out where I'm going with it. Why is that so far away? Let's do one and then go backwards. Yes, like that. That's what I didn't do right the last time. There we go. Does it make more sense doing that? I feel like every time I kind of come into a little, yeah, that makes more sense. Every time I come into a little corner or a little angle, I feel like I'm learning something about angles and beading every single time. Like it's like a little different every single time. I'm always trying to get like the better angle. I'm trying to get something to sort of fill a space properly. Looks like I've got to refill my needle already. There. Yeah. I feel like I just did this. Oh man, I didn't leave myself enough. Come on. Darn it. All right, well. It does feel nice and tight. I will just there we go. So if I run out, I try to because I double up my thread, I take one of the two threads, run it underneath a string or an existing knot on the back of it, and then I knot the two ends together like old-fashioned way. I feel like that's probably sturdy enough. It's not as good, but it's better than only once. Yes, we are looking down our noses at a winter storm ourselves. And I'm really ready for spring at this point. It's delayed until this evening though, so hopefully today's stream should not be interrupted with a power outage. I cannot say much about tonight, but that's a problem for future me. Okay. I agree, Ms. Rabbit. I'm looking forward to spring. I don't want summer just yet. I love summer, but I love spring and I love fall. And I realized, I was just sort of talking with Mr. InStitches about this the other day, that you can't really appreciate spring unless you suffer through a bit of winter. And I feel like here in Canada, we suffer through a lot of winter. So we really appreciate spring when it gets here. And I just love spring. I wish that it would kind of just take its time and be like a nice kind of gradual thing. I like it when it gets up to about, like plus 10. It could stay there, and I'm talking Celsius, it could stay there for quite a while, in my opinion. I like 10 degrees. It's not really, doesn't bring out the bugs, and it's warm enough that there's obviously no more snow. The snow's gone, and you can kind of function and take care of like some big spring cleaning projects. You can open up the windows and doors and get the fresh air in the house and not freeze. It's really nice. I like 10 degrees. 10 degrees is good. It can stay there for a while. March is marching. Yes, it is. Absolutely right, Shell. March, no offense, March, but you're my least favorite time of the year. March can be so fickle. I know April isn't exactly a golden child either. I think May and October are my two favorite months of the year. May is just glorious. October is just glorious. And they're shoulder seasons, you know. They're not summer, they're not winter. All right, I've made it all the way around. And I do like this so far. I think working from the center out is the right decision because the beads are all a little bit misshapen. They're not all, you know, perfectly round, which is fine. And that will help to determine the angle, the sort of the rest of the shape of everything. So let me just do this. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so let's just do a quick little cap up here of how things are looking. So that is the flower back. I've got the yellow center. It's kind of like a champagne color. You can almost not see it. And then there's the purple beading around it. There, if I put a little shadow on it, there you go. And then there's the pink beading around that. And that is going to determine the shape of the rest of the back of the turtle. I'm going to do a row now of, like this one has done in green. I think I'm going to do it in like, maybe, I mean, I do have greens. I have a lot of green that would look pretty with it, but I think like blue might be nice too. Blue, green. I mean, turtles are typically green. I should probably have some green in this turtle. Then again, what does it matter? You know what? I've got these lovely things. So I was thinking about using these on the shamrock, and I didn't because they were kind of like they really look like beach glass. They're like a real bluey green, kind of a sea foamy green. I think I'm going to use these. So they're green, so I'm putting a little green in, but there's still that little bit of blue, and they're kind of soft, and they've got a slight iridescent quality to them. Let's see if I can get one out and just show it to you. Probably not. They're so tiny, but it's like it's got like just a slight iridescence, a little bit of seafoam green. They're the right color. So I'm going to use those to go around, because they're also a bit bigger. So I'm going to use those to go around the outside, so around that line of pink, but instead of really hugging the shape, I'm going to try and fill in some of the gaps so that the flowery, like this one here, it's like a little hexagon-y and then it kind of goes circular. I'm going to try and get the same effect with the beads. Like I said, this is my most ambitious beading project yet. I want it to, I think I can do it. I think if I put one and then like in each of the little divots and then the rest of it will be circular, I think that'll work. We shall find out. Let's find out together. I'm probably going to use a lot of these, so I'm just going to put you like that. So if I go in a circle and then I put one right, let's see what that looks like. I should be able to get one in there. So let's do two. Keep it kind of in a circular shape. And then I'll do one in here. No, you don't. Okay, sure. So what are you all working on? I'm working on beaded sea turtles. I assume you guys are working on other fabulous things. Is anybody planning a garden? I feel like I need to start my seeds, my little seedlings on the inside. I've got to remember to get some topsoil. Nothing says spring like getting some seeds started. I can't put them in the ground until the end of May anywho, so. His rabbit is resting. That's legitimate. Yeah, I think these were the right choice. I might end up using all of them, which is fine. I don't mind using up beads. I always end up with, you know, over the years I've bought beads because, like yarn and fabric, I go, oh, this is so pretty, I'm going to buy those, and I buy them, and then they sit and they do nothing. Well, no more. My pretty things are going to get used. And I think I can get in one more row of these. Becky's dragging us through her house while she gets some procrastination projects done. You know what? This is what I'm talking about. A little bit of company. It isn't just about crafting. Sometimes it's about doing chores. It's about getting some cleaning done, or it's about, you know, just addressing something that needs to be done. If you have a little bit of company with you, it doesn't feel as onerous. I like that. Well, I got 2 in this time, so I don't mind so much running out that time. All right, I'm going to finish the rest of the green round, and then I'll give you guys a little close-up progress peek. It is tricky to have a garden if you've got animals. I've got raised beds, and we had a little fenced-in garden. I've decided to move it because it wasn't getting enough sun. I don't think it was at the optimal spot. So I'll be recreating that garden elsewhere, and probably with a much gentler fencing, because I don't have the predators that I thought I was, or the garden predators that I thought I was going to have. And our Penny's a real good girl. She doesn't dig if we don't let her. So I have to move that. But I do have raised garden beds, and they make all the difference. Like a lot of animals, excepting the squirrels and the chipmunks, they love to jump up there and try and hide their nuts, which is really annoying. I'll be sort of digging around trying to do a bit of gardening, and I'll uncover a peanut or something, and I'll think, what? And then I feel bad because I'm like, oh, that was, somebody put that there. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Scrap Granny Squares from Michelle. Playing with all the colors and getting the smallest scraps out of my stash. They'll be around 10 inches eventually, but today it's only 4 rounds. Well, every little stitch counts, right? I love using up scraps. I love using up scraps of anything, which is another reason that I've enjoyed this little chapter of crafting. Trying to make some beaded things that are pretty and possibly useful. I do love it when things are useful. And using up what I've got. Now, I don't mind, you know, adding to the stash. Since I've gotten into this, I think to myself, well, this isn't a big deal. I'll definitely be doing more of this because I'm enjoying it. So I don't mind adding, you know, a few more beads here and there. I'm also thinking I might like to make some more bracelets. I really enjoyed the little bracelet I made, so I've got some other bracelet ideas I'd like to try. Stuff like that. Becky says, you've hit the ground running with the beading. You've done so many already. You know what, Becky? It's true. I think making a point to sit down with everyone, you know, if a little idea pops into my head, I think, oh, that might be kind of cute. And if I sit down and I do it and I don't overthink it too much, it gets done. Thank you for that wise and stunning, stunning observation, Jada. Yeah, it's I'm really enjoying the process too. Like see? Yes, that worked. That worked. Oh my gosh, I'm pleased. So here we go. I filled in a smidgen where the little petals kind of come together. I put one green bead there and then I did the rest kind of going around it. So I haven't filled in the flower part yet. I'm going to do that probably last, so that way I can sort of smooch all the other bigger beads kind of into a better position, but I'm just sort of filling in the framework from the center out, I guess. Not bad. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, so now I want to fill in the eyes. I have to do the eyes, and then I'm going to fill in the flippers, the tail. I want the flippers and the tail to be pretty simple. If I've got small little, if I don't think I do, but if I had little yellow beads, I would have filled in, I would have framed it in the larger beads that I think I used for the center. So those center yellow beads, I might like frame them in, but I kind of wish I had smaller yellow beads that I could fill in the middle with, because I like the way that looks. But I don't think I do. So, I do have little pink. I have little, that's too dark. I have lots of little white. I don't want them to have white flippers. I have a little green, but I don't really want to do that. I got a little blue. I have little blue and I have big blue. What would he look like with a blue head and blue flippers and a blue tail? Would baby blue, so picture the flippers, the head, and the tail, all done with baby blue, outlined in large baby blue and filled in with little baby blue. Is that adding one color too many? I kind of feel like it might be. Then again, it makes the shell stand out a little bit more. I mean, the alternative is yellow, and the yellow might not stand out as well. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to do the head, the flippers, and the tail all in a large blue outline, and I'm going to fill it in with the baby blue. Because I like the big bead framing with the little bead center. I like how that looks, and I've got, these blues are all the same color. So I'm going to do the head and the flippers and the tail in blue. And I need 2 eyes. That's the other thing I need to do. So gotta move this around. I could do the blue eyes in dark blue. Oh, I have dark blue. Dark blue or black for the eyes? Black, black. All right, Jada answers her own question. Okay, sip of tea. Michelle says, can you outline in blue and fill in yellow? It's the thing is, I want to fill it in with little beads, Shell, because I do like that idea, but it's the little beads. So I want to be able to fill in the middle with little beads. So that's the plan. That is the plan. We'll see how far that gets. Oh, that's pretty. No, but these are the same color. Oh, plus these have a little bit of a pearlescence to them. So, ooh, that one doesn't have a big enough hole. So I'll put that over here. Oddly, I don't know if any of you noticed, but it looks like I somehow the shape of the shell corrected itself. So it's back to kind of following, and I didn't plan that, it just sort of happened. So I don't actually have any correction to make. So that's kind of fun. Oh yeah, I already like this blue. A sky feel. I like that, Ms. Rabbit. Yeah. That one doesn't have a big enough hole. Rather than throw out the beads that I can't get a needle through, I think I'm just going to save them in their own little container, and I'll glue them to some project down the road. I think that's my plan, because I hate throwing out things that are pretty just because they aren't useful in the original intent. Okay, so there's the head. And I'm going to fill in, I'm going to do all the framing first. I'll fill in with the small beads at like last. I think this is a good plan. That's really short. You know what? I'm not going to fight with it. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents. Mr. Bob Ross is correct, especially when it comes to art. Thank you for the reminder, Becky. Okay. I will do the tail next. It's another one that's too small. Yeah. I know what I did wrong there. I'm going to try and unsew this. Felt is pretty forgiving, which is really nice. I'm just going to line this up in a different place. So there we go. Much better. Yes. That's a much more triangular looking tail. That's kind of what I was looking for. And then I'll fill in that. I put the beads with blocked holes in little apothecary jars. Also, I need to quit yapping, watch, and get my things done. Okay, Becky. I love the little idea, that apothecary jars. Yeah, because not only can you see them so that they're pretty and on display, but then you're like, oh yeah, I've got that jar of beads that I can't actually string, but I can glue them to something. Okay. So head and tail, let's do the flippers now. So, I'm gonna tie that into place. I think too, like the previous couple of little pieces I've done, I'm gonna also blanket stitch around the outside of this. Maybe not today, but I think if I go to put it down, like if I go to actually attach it to something, I will, because I feel like it finishes off the edges nicely and makes it a little stronger. Yes, that feels like it fits. right. It's a little loose, but that's okay. I'm going to fill that in with little beads in a minute. Jill says, I was wondering if you could use glue on some of those larger beads with only one hole for future projects, so both thread and glue to secure. That is a good question. I guess it would depend on the kind of project. Because, I mean, in theory, yes, absolutely. I don't have in my stash at the moment a glue that I would, like, I don't have any fabric glue at the moment. And I think that's probably what I would use. But I don't know how well glass beads would secure themselves to fabric with fabric glue. Have any of you had any experience with that? No. In a word, no. That's 2 of 4 flippers done. Head, tail, 2 flippers. One flipper's a little bigger than the other, but I don't think that matters. And we now to do the 2 back flippers now. And then we just color in the lines. I think blue was the right choice. You want to know why? The iridescence of these blue beads, and you don't really realize it until you're fiddling with them, is the same, it gives the same kind of blue hue quality as the slight blue tinge that the green seafoam beads have. So that, to quote Becky a moment ago, is a happy accident indeed. So it's the same hue. So these blue beads sort of blend nicely with the green. And that purple, to be fair. It's all kind of the same shade, or the same hue, same family of hues. We all like Hugh. Hugh's a nice guy. Hi, Beth. Thank you. I am liking it so far as well. I feel like it's going in the direction that I want it to, which is always a nice feeling. Framing in with the larger beads is fun. It also feels like it moves along a little faster, which is kind of a nice feeling. Not that I'm in a hurry. I guess you know what it's like. You kind of want to see progress, and you want to see it with some speed. That really wants to sit. I'll fix it in a second. Let's resort that so it wants to come from here. There we go. Thank you, Shell. Shell says, I just noticed some embellishments on a sweatshirt I have seem to only have one hole, and yet they are pretty solidly on there, except for the loose one that made me notice. How? So are they glued? Now I'm curious. It is rain snowing at the moment, but it doesn't look too vicious, so I think we're still safe so far as the power is concerned. Oops. Nope, it sounds like it's switching over. Okay, so I believe the icy rain has started here, my friends. And I think we're probably fine for now, but just in case suddenly I disappear without a proper and polite goodbye, we're going to blame it on the power going out. You've been warned. Okay, I have one more flipper to outline. And put there. Try to make this about as evenly situated as the other flipper. Random comment from Jessica Rabbit. I can't wait for the 19th. That starts the Steam Spring Sale. Oh, yes. keep an eye on your wish list. I too will be interested in what goes on sale. Any comments or about hobbies are welcome here. Our hobbies range all over the place, and I think that that whole annotation, is annotation the right word, or that old saying, variety is the spice of life, is so true. Well, the good news is I'm going to have enough blue beads to do all my outlining. Now I just have to worry about having enough of the little ones to do all the inside coloring in, but I think I will have enough. That seems, just kind of looking at them, I think I will have enough. Two. Okay, I'll probably just start there for filling in, but let's just quickly check out. We're going to do a little progress check. So there we go. I've got, I'm not too worried about the full shaping of all of the flippers, because as I'm filling in, as I'm coloring in the lines, I'm going to use that opportunity to kind of push the outside framing beads out to the position that I want and then stitch over them to stitch them into place. But I feel like if I'm gonna compare like sort of the shape, I'm gonna need to put eyes in. The question is, do I put the eyes in on the outside of the frame or the inside of the frame? Because this one, they are clearly on the outside of the frame. If you were just going to sort of reduce this to like a cartoon drawing. I wonder if I should have put black bead. No, that wouldn't have looked right. Well, let's see what it looks like if I put black beads. I'm just going to lay them down. So let's take a look at them on the table and we'll lay them down. So if I do this on either side, does that put them out too far? Yes, it does. Or does it? If I really nestle them in there. No, I think they do need to sit on the outside. Because if they sit on the inside, they're going to look like they're on the top of the head, and I don't want that. So I'm actually going to press in two of those blue framing ones, and I'm going to put the eyes on the outside, because then that makes it, almost gives them like a pointed little nose. Can you guys sort of see that from the top down view? I know my fingers are kind of in the way, but I feel like that's the right move. All right, so when I get to that point, I will do that. I'm going to start filling in. I'm down here. I'm going to start filling in the inside with the little blue beads, hoping that I have enough. I think I can put this aside for now. And I think I am done with these blue ones. So before I make a big, so these guys, I've got to put them somewhere because they're going to go into the apothecary jar. Because I like that. The green I'm done with, so I'm going to put these guys away. So Don't you just love that strange feeling that glass, some like soft glass beads have? It's like smooth but granular at the same time. I don't even know how to explain that properly. And then these, I'm pretty sure I'm done with you guys. So I'm going to put you back in your little package. There we go. And that can get stitched back over there. And this can now hold my light blue beads, because I think these are the ones I'm going to use, not those. Those are too close in size. So I'm going to use these guys. And here I go. Hopefully these all have a big enough space that they fit over my beading needle, and it feels like they do, which is great because they're little, so I can do like 4 at a time. And it's time to reload the thread again already. Wow, that was fast. I think I'm cutting about 1 meter of thread each time and then folding it in half, so I feel like I'm reloading the needle a lot faster than I normally do. I don't know, is that just me? Am I kind of gapping out on the time here? think I can squeeze 3 more back in here. And then that's probably it for that flipper. Oh, maybe one more. One more. Yes. All right, so that's one little flipper. I might be able to fit one more in there too. A little skinny one. Yeah, good. All right. That's one flipper filled in. Yes. All right. You know what? While I think of it, I'm going to do the head because I want to get the eyes in. I want to do that little thing where I kind of sew them on either side of these beads up here and kind of make it, sort of squeeze in the top 2 blue beads a little bit just to kind of make it a little more like the head, the nose. Give it a nose, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Cannot bead and think and talk at the same time. So I'm going to press this in here. So that's, now what I want is to have that kind of, oops, that's not what I want. I'm going to go up through here and grab the top bead and pull it out so that it is flush with that one. And then, oh, I want a long one. I'm going to put another bead in so that these two get kind of squished in sideways. Did I move that one in the wrong place? Don't really want that to get, why is that not looking like I want it to? Because I put that too high? Maybe I put it too high. This. I may have put that in the wrong, I think I may have put that a little too up close. I think it should be down a bit further, so I'm going to move it carefully. Now, can I move it from here? I want it a little more to the side, I think. I'm not even sure what string I'm pulling on now. I want that to go right through. You know what? Maybe I'll just fudge it from here. So, originally I had thought it would make sense to have them on, like maybe it needs to sit here. Like about there. So it needs to move back. It needs to sit behind this bead and sit more on the side. So let's move this to here. Does that look right? No, it does not. Wow, why am I struggling to put this? I just started up here with this, right? I should probably be able to just cut this and start again. I think that's the route I'm going to go. Because for some reason I didn't get this in the right spot and it's going to drive me crazy. Yeah. Okay. Whew. Let's try that again. Reset. All right. Sip of tea. Okay, so my thinking originally was stick them on either side. So they really need to sit down here a little bit. So I need to pinch, it's these top three that get pinched, and they sit next to these two. That's what I did wrong. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to bring my thread in way down here now. And put it right there. And I'm going to solidify that. And then That is what I want. I want it to push that bead in. And the same over here. So let's go. There we go. That looks more like it. So now I'm going to fill in. Let me see. I'm going to fill in the little blue beads here. Curtains. I think curtains are on a lot of our brains right now, Ms. Rabbit. I also want to make some new not so much curtains, but like a pretty new valance for the kitchen. I have a valance, but I also want to make one that's a little more summery, like that doesn't fully block out the light, but kind of lets it filter, something a little more lacy. So yes, I enjoy making curtains. All kinds of curtains. They're a great way to decorate. One of the things I like about the look of the beads inside, to sort of quote color in the lines on this turtle, is that turtles themselves kind of make me think of stones. I think they're depicted in stone as a medium a lot. And the little tiny beads make me think of little pebbles, which make me think of sort of stone turtles. It seems to suit them. Or, you know, seashells or something. They've got that kind of look. I think I want to just do 2 there. And I'll do 1 up in here. Whoops. Now, can I get this to... No, I think I want that to stay as it is. What I do want is this to come down a little bit. Shell has a sticker book with a page of turtles that look like they're made out of stone. That is so neat. How old, if you don't mind me asking, is the sticker book, Shell? There we go. That's the head done. That took a little doing, but it's done. And I'm not going to fight with that small little bit of thread, so I'm going to reload and move on to my other flippers. Let's just do a quick little check here. So that's the head. The eye is a little bit wonky. I might be able to fix that later when I'm going around and I'm putting on when I'm doing the side embroidery, the blanket stitch, I can kind of fix that eye. It's just a little wonky, but it will get sort of pushed in. I think that's the right placement for the eyes. Like I said, this just needs to get sort of squished in a little bit, turned slightly. I had a bit of trouble with that one for some reason. I'm not sure why, but yeah, getting there. I like it. I also like that he's blue. I like that he's a blue turtle. I didn't envision him to be a blue turtle when I sort of sat down today because I had the other turtle in my brain, but I like the blue. I think the blue is calming, kind of like the water, sort of like the sky, like Jessica Rabbit said. It's got sort of a blue sky, blue water kind of feeling to it. I'm here for it. I like it. I like it. Okay, I'm going to do the other back flipper. Not old, 2 to 3 years. There's a line of Amazon called Fashion Angels. I collected a few of the books. Unfortunately, the last few times I've checked, they aren't available. I'll send you a picture. Yes, please. I like the blue being a little more on the natural side too, Beth. I feel like it's just got like that sky or that water feeling thing-ish-ness. I use words. Can't craft and talk at the same time. All right, that's another flipper finished. Actually, I think I might be able to fit one more little bead in here. Let's do that. I don't want to be stingy with the beads. And I'm going to just pin those ones down a little bit more. There. All right, back flippers are done. So side flippers, and then I've got to decide what I'm filling in the, hi, hello, hello, hey, did you want to come up and say hello? Penny has made an appearance. Are you going to come, hi, Belly, hey sweetie, do you want to come up and say hi? Want to come up and say hi? Oh, you just want to get bellies? You want to get bellies? Yeah? Want to come up and say hello? Just belly rubs. Belly rubs on the floor, please, mommy. Nice, sweetie. Did you have a good nap? Do you want to come up? No? Just more belly rubs. Okay, pardon me, everybody. My puppy needs belly rubs. Do you want to come up and say hello? Do you want to come and say hello? No? Just rubs. Just rubs. You're so quiet. Yes, you were. Hi. Hi, sweetie. Hi. Yeah. No, you want to stay on the floor? Okay. All right. So funny. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're so funny. You want to come up? No? You're so cute. You're so cute. Yes, you are. She's sometimes she's kind of shy, so I will shove her into the spotlight. If you don't want to get up, no, you just want to hang out down there. You just want to hang out down here, yeah. You want to come up a little bit? No. No? Okay. Well, that's fine. Watch your feet. That is a big no from the Penny. Okay. I tried. She says no. That's okay. That's fine. I think she probably just wants to go out for a piddle, so that's probably where she's headed. To the back door. It's the cutest thing she does. She just kind of comes and asks for a belly rub or two, and then she gets up and she's like, okay. And that's, I'm leaving. So I'm kind of following the established shape of the flippers. I'm trying to kind of keep that flipper shape. Like I think I will it'll help reaffirm the shape of the flipper if the inside lines of beads kind of follow the outside line, if that makes sense. That's the plan anyway. We'll see if it works. I do like the way it looks so far. what about that? Oh, you're back, are you? What is happening here? That's what's happening here. I want this to be connected to that. There we go. The fridge is opened. Penny feet have left the building. This has a real weight to it. Like, it's not heavy, it's just, it's got a really nice weight to it. So I'm thinking this might be like, as opposed to a brooch, it might be a permanent part of something. I would like to make it a brooch. I don't know, we'll see. We shall see. I can get 3 in here. Yeah, that's enough there, I think. I might just shove this one in a little bit. There we go. All right, flipper number 3 complete. Hi, little feet. There we go. All right, I'm going to start back over here. Do you have a snack? That sounds like a little snack. we had no pets for the longest time. We had fish for a while, and then we had guinea pigs for a short time, but we realized we were allergic to the bedding and the hay, and they really love to be in hay and to have Timothy and stuff. And so rather than find something that agreed with us and not with them, we chose to give them away to someone. And then since then we haven't had anybody. We love cats, but we both have a cat allergy, which is sort of a sad thing. So we didn't have any cats, and we didn't really feel that we had time for a dog. At least I didn't, because I wasn't much of a dog person, I didn't think, but I did like the idea of having like a little dog at some point. Anyway, just the universe saw fit to send us Penny, and I am so glad it did. She's just the greatest little character. She makes me so happy. I think I might be able to get in 2 more beads before I have to knot off here. Okay, let's get that knot. She has brought her ball in, so if you can hear a ball bouncing around, that's her. All right. So I've just got to finish this 4th flipper, and then I need to fill in the flower. And I'm really not sure what I'm going to fill that in with yet. I might fill it in with the small pink beads that I outlined the flower with, just because I really like them. And then that will make the purple beads stand out, and that will kind of answer the problem that I've been thinking about this whole time of how to get that flower, that enunciated flower look. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I like the sound of her feet too. Tap, 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 tap. It's very comforting. It's a nice little I'm at home sort of sound. She's sort of half snacking and half trying to get me to play with her, I think, but she knows the rules. If I'm sitting at the craft table, then I'm going to be a while. think I can squeeze in a couple more beads here in the middle. So that's what I'm gonna try and do now, just to finish off this one flipper. Yeah. Okay, I just have to do the tail now. So the head, the 4 flippers, the tail, and then that shouldn't take too long. It's a very small little space. And then I've got to fill in all the little flower petals. All right, so let's do that. There, tail done. All right, let's do a quick progress check here. So, again, the one little wonky eye. This one over here, I will fix that. But We are definitely getting a sea turtle effect. I really like that. I think I'm going to fill the purple, the outline of the purple flower in with the pink, the little pink beads that I used to go around it in the first place. So that it's kind of the reverse of what I did here. The pink draws attention. The pink in this creates the framing of the flower, but the purple in this case is going to be the framing of the flower, and the inside is going to be the pink. And then I've got that nice pink around the edge, so that's how it's going to get sort of drawn like all together. So all I need to do now is fill in the flowers with the little pink beads, and that's the turtle done. I will cut it out and do the embroidery around the edge of it later, because I'm still not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. I don't know whether if I'm going to turn it into an applique or if I'm going to turn it into a brooch. Like part of me really wants to wear this as a big brooch. Like I'm just, you know, like that. I really like the statement of that. And I love the idea of it being like on something like this black sweater, but I don't want it permanently there. So still kind of playing with it. It's bigger than I had anticipated making it. I had probably thought about making this like half the size. It doesn't bother me, but you know, it's bigger than I thought it was going to be. But that's okay. All right, let's fill these little flowers in. A bead-esque sound. Shell, you're right. Her feet do sound like little beads tapping on the floor. Okay, here we go. So, home stretch. Let's get these. Plus, I really love this pink color, so any excuse to keep using it. Nice, sweetie. Are you back for a sniff, me? It's 4 too many. Yeah, I think 4 is too many there. So while I'm sewing in the central beads, I'm also taking the opportunity to just sort of secure some of the framing beads just so that I feel like they're not going to move around too much. They're kind of where I want them to stay. And I'm definitely going to do that here. These look like that's got to move over there, and that's got to want to sit like that. So nothing in nature is perfect. I know it comes pretty close, but I don't mind this being a little abnormally shaped. Is that the word I want? Yes. What on earth did I do here? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Just pull it up there. Okay. I do like statement pieces. I think that if I did turn this into a brooch, it's got a nice weight to it. So I think if I had, like, if I put 2 pins on its back, it would be stable. Like, it wouldn't want to flop around or anything. It's got this nice kind of, and it's flat. So it would sort of, especially if you wore it kind of up on your shoulder, it would sort of lay flat up there. I feel like that would be kind of neat. Come on. There we go. So I'm going to fiddle with that. Uniquely shaped, yes. I concur with Shell and Beth. Uniquely shaped. That's kind of the cool thing about the nature. Things kind of look They're perfectly imperfect. All right, I think that's in a good spot. So I'm going to put one more bead right there. Yes. There, all right. Just a few more petals. Okay, and there's another neat little thing that's happening here. It's because the purple beads are bigger than the pink beads, the purple beads are going to have a bit of a textured look, like they're going to stand out in relief, which is another nice little thing, and so will the yellow beads at the center. So again, mixing the big beads and the little beads is just such a great technique. It really brings a shape to life, you know. I am pretty happy with the way this is turning out. Now, just three more petals. Let's not screw it up, Jada. So I'm hitting that point. You can see the end of the tunnel, and the project nearing its completion gets you excited, and then I start to speed up every single time. I go, oh, 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 look at this, I'm almost done. And then I inevitably put something in the wrong place. I don't want to stab myself with the needle either. So, kind of continue to channel the chill here and keep it going. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. I'm so glad you like it too. I like it. It is coming together, and I am so happy. I was a little apprehensive about trying something so kind of complicated, or it seems complicated. Turns out it's not, actually. I am going to sew that bead down before I go any further. I want that to really sit over here. There we go. Now I have to say, the beads are doing the lion's share of the work here. They are doing the sort of generalized size of them is doing the framing for me. I'm just kind of following sort of their shape as I lay down other beads beside it. They're of course very pretty, so this could be just a train wreck of a design, but the beads themselves would be very pretty. So that works in my favor. I'm going to just pull this one up here, and then that's a nicer shape. It's 4 or 5 too many, I think. No. think I can fit one more little bead back in there. I'll make it a skinnier one. There. Okay. Petal number 4, here we go. It's starting to have that nice sort of solid feeling from all of the stitching and the weight of the beads. It's got like, now when I kind of pick it up, it feels like it's got a very different, the felt has a very different feeling than it did when I started. Feels really good. Three too many, yes, because that's a rather tall bead. I think the moral of today's beading story is to lean into the beads. Let the beads do the talking. Don't try to make the beads do the thing you want them to. That was I think that was my mental error when I was making the shamrock. I don't dislike my shamrock. It's just not as good as it could have been, and I think it's because I didn't let the beads do what the beads wanted to do. As funny as that might sound. There, I think it's done. Wow. All right, let me just tie this string off. I think I will trim it down, But I'm not going to do any of the embroidery around the outside today, just because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it yet. So, needle goes back in needle, little needle bed there. And this should probably put its lid on. Where did I put its lid? Squish this back down in here. Nice little sound. Oh, lid, there you are. So, let's get this guy on. And I'm going to tie it up. Because this is such a flimsy little packaging, but I really, you know, at the moment don't have anything better. I'm going to just this works. There we go. That's on pretty good. All right, so that is that. I am very pleased with the way that turned out. Let's just take a look at it together here. My poor computer is really, really tired. All right, there we go. Let's make sure it's not, I can't tell my glasses. I'm fogging up my own glasses here. Ah, I love the way the turtle shell showed up. I will take a better photo of this. I'm going to trim it down, take a photo of it. It'll be the thumbnail. So if you want to see a better photo of it, you can see it on the thumbnail. I might even make a post. I've still got some good daylight left, so I should be able to get a pretty decent photograph. But inspiration and beaded project. I am happy with that. I am quite happy with that. So I'm going to carefully snip it down. I'll do that later, a little bit later, and then I will take some photographs of it and post. And I've made a sea turtle. That is the most difficult, most ambitious project I've done with the beads to date. You know what that tells me? I wanted to make a sea turtle because I've got sea turtles on the brain. And I thought, oh, wouldn't a beaded sea turtle be cute? I've got pretty beads. I want to use my pretty beads. It doesn't have to be a green turtle. So I'm going to use my pretty beads. And that's what came out of it. So don't be afraid of the size or the shape or the details of the project. Don't let that intimidate you. If you've got like pretty beads, pretty fabric, pretty yarn, something pretty, pull it out and let it do the talking, because I think that really worked out much nicer than I had thought of it in my head. So very pleased with that. And I'm so happy that so many of you were here to hang out with me today. How lovely, how very nice. I'm just going to pop into the chat for a bit. Actually, I don't want to do that just quite yet. Runs over, this is so cute. Shell had 5 grannies yesterday morning and you have 17 this evening. Whoa! Yeah, take a break. Oh my, be the beads is Mr. Stitches. Back but lurking. Oh my gosh, you guys are so great. Okay, so I'm gonna call it there. That was quite a long stream, but that was a pretty big project, and I'm very pleased with the way it came together. And as always, I'm very pleased to have you guys along for the ride. Thank you for the company. It really makes this so enjoyable. I love sitting and crafting with some friends. I hope I've been some company for you. I hope this serves as a little bit of inspiration. You know, even if you're thinking about, you've been putting off trying a project because you like the look of it, but it looks a little intimidating, go for it, because it turns out that it actually might not be nearly as difficult, and it will turn out looking pretty neat. So yeah, go for it. So that's today's takeaway. Just go for it. Thank you for the company. Have a safe and crafty week. Remember, you can stitch up your own story, because that's exactly what I'm doing here, and I'm having so much fun with all of you along for the ride. we'll see you soon. I don't know when that will be, but it will be soon. And I'll be back with another project of some sort to provide inspiration or company, or hopefully both. So we'll see you guys soon. Take care.